Hello and welcome. My name is Amanda and this is my channel, Her Pacific Northwest Washington Life, and today we are kicking off the week 36 reading vlog. So at the end of last week's vlog, I had mentioned that things were going to change a little bit on my channel. This is due to just, I guess, like personal life changes. Hello, Feefers. I already work full-time. I also, at the beginning of August, went back to school full-time for my accounting degree. And last week I started a part-time, about 10 hours a week job working with my mother-in-law. So in order to fit everything in that I need to, some things have to go. And one of the things that I don't absolutely have to do is YouTube. So I am cutting back significantly on my channel. I will only be doing weekly reading vlogs, and I'm going to try my best to shorten them as well, because I know personally, like, I like watching reading vlogs because you get the personal life of the person you're watching. You get to know them a little bit better, and you also get more in-depth thoughts on what they're currently reading, and it really helps to decide whether you want to pick up the book or not. But one thing about reading vlogs is a lot of them I feel like average 45 minutes or so, and to me that's super overwhelming to see that I have like a stack of videos in my to watch list that are all 30 minutes to 45 minutes long. So I'm gonna try to personally cut down the time on my reading vlogs, but still make the content enjoyable to watch. So I think check-ins are going to be at the start, middle, and end of books. And I might start doing like a weekly TBR, what I plan to read for the week at the beginning, and then maybe a quick wrap up at the end. That way, if that's what you're interested in, is knowing my concise thoughts on a book, you can still see it in a wrap up style thing, but I don't have to film a separate video. So that's kind of along the lines of what I'm thinking. It'll be a bit of a transition to kind of get to that spot, but I think it'll be good in the long run. It's a way that I can still keep talking to people about the things I'm reading during this really busy time in my life. So we are on the very last day of April, which means it is the last day of the NEWT's Magical Readathon Year 3. I have one final prompt to finish on my route to finishing my NEWTs for an alchemist. That last prompt is the O in Transfiguration, which is to read a hardcover. I originally had planned to read The Wicked Deep by Shay Earnshaw, but I will not be able to read like a 350 page book in a day. So I scoured Maddie's shelves and found Charlotte's Web by E.B. White, which I've never actually read. In first grade, I played Fern in my class play. I'll dig through my pictures. I know I have pictures in a box in the closet behind me where I'm dressed up in like overalls and a red shirt and pigtails as Fern reading lines on a stool in my classroom. So I'll try and dig that out so I can show you. But this is like 180 some odd pages. Text is really large. There's pictures and all that good stuff. So I should have no problem reading this tonight. This was actually Skylar's maternal grandmother's copy, which I think is very cool. It's definitely banged up, beat up. It's got stains on it. I feel like the binding on this is not very solid, so I'm gonna have to be very gentle while reading this. But I'm really looking forward to reading it. I mean, I know Charlotte's Web quite well. I've seen the movie multiple times. I was in the play in first grade, but I've never actually read the book. So I'm really looking forward to reading that. That should be perfectly fine for me getting that read and finished today. And then tomorrow starts 3 readathons for me. 2 are a month long, 1 is 3 months long. So I am going to, last week I was supposed to participate in the Roll the Dice Readathon, which was supposed to be a week long. But because I was finishing up and had to read specific books for the NEWTs, I wanted to actually participate and enjoy doing the Roll the Dice Readathon. So I decided to make that a whole month-long readathon for me for September. There's 12 prompts. I am still going to use my magic dice to roll, and whatever number I land on will be the prompt, and I'll pick up a book to read for that prompt, and then when I'm done with that book, I'll roll again. So really looking forward to doing that. I think it'll be a lot of fun and just a unique or more unique way, I guess, for me to pick up the books that I'm going to read throughout the month. The other month-long readathon is the Horcruxathon, which is, I think, the third year this is being hosted in the Harry Potter and the Order of the Planners Flourish and Blots Facebook book club group. And with that, there are 7 different reading prompts, one for each Horcrux, and there's a bonus for Professor Quirrell. So tomorrow, when those readathons actually start, I'll get into what the prompts are and things like that. I don't have books. I do have books picked for Roll the Dice. I might switch those up. I don't have books picked for Horcruxathon yet. And then the third readathon, it's a reading challenge, and it's a bingo board. This is the Fall into Reading challenge, which starts from September 1st and goes through to November 30th. And you have 2 options. There are 4 co-hosts. I believe this was created by Tia over at Tia and All the Books. But you can either choose to do the bingo board with 15 squares or the one with 24 squares. I'm going to go for 24 squares since it spans 3 months. If you divide that out, it would be 8 prompts per month, which I typically read 10 to 12 books a month, so I shouldn't have any problem with that. And I don't have books picked for that either, so it'll be fun here over the next couple days to go through and figure out what I'll be reading. But that's pretty much, I think, everything I need to say for the start of this. I can't help it but yawn pretty much every time I turn on the camera. I'm really looking forward to August being done and starting 3 new things for September and the upcoming months. I can't decide if fall or spring is my favorite season. I really enjoy fall because it starts to rain more here, the leaves change, the air gets crisp, it's sweater weather, but I also really like spring because it still rains, it's starting to get a little warmer, and the flowers start to bloom. So I'm looking forward to fall this year. I just can't wait to get into those cozy reads and snuggling with the dogs on the couch. So if I finish Charlotte's Web at a reasonable time tonight, I will definitely check in with you and let you know how it went. Last night I finished Charlotte's Web by E.B. White, and I thought it was cute, just a sweet little wholesome book. I'm giving it a 4-star rating. I don't typically rate, like, I didn't put this through my rating system or anything like that, just overall feeling. I know this is obviously not geared towards me, it's geared towards other children. Well, not other children, I'm not a child anymore. It's geared towards a younger audience, but I do think this is a story that just really holds up. It's very sweet. It's got a lot of really good messages on friendship and things like that, and I really enjoyed reading it because apparently I've never read this before. I did tell you yesterday that in the 1st grade, so I would have been 6 years old. For anyone outside of the US who doesn't have the same like school system as we do here, 6th grade, no, I was not in 6th grade. I was in 1st grade, so it would be kindergarten through, and then 1st through 6th is what my elementary school was. So in 1st grade, I was 6 years old the entire year. And I played Fern in my class's play. I've got a couple of pictures here that I can show you with some really, really good editing of the pictures to crop out the other kids. Here's a picture of me sitting on a stool reading the script. Then this one of me just hanging out, waiting for the play to start probably. And then I was probably doing this to pose for the camera. Whenever cameras got in my face, I was really big on like posing or making faces or things like that. But looking a little like, can we start yet? So those are my fun little pictures that relate back to Charlotte's Web. Today, as I mentioned yesterday, is the start of 3 different readathons. Well, 2 readathons, 1 reading challenge for me. So we've got the Horcruxathon, which is hosted by the Harry Potter and the Order of the Planners Facebook group, which, as I mentioned, is 7 prompts with a bonus prompt. So 1 for each of the Horcruxes plus a bonus. Runs for the whole month of September. I am also doing the Creating and Co-Roll the Dice Readathon, which was supposed to be all of last week that I decided to make for the whole month of September. That is 12 prompts, and I am going to let my magic dice decide which prompt I read. For that, I thought it would kind of be fun that whatever number the dice landed on to pick up a book, so even if it kept landing on, say, like 5, to see how many books I could fit for that prompt. But I think what I would rather do is, if I can read all 12 books in a month and have time for extras, then I'll go back and roll the dice again and see if I get any duplicate numbers. Well, I would get duplicate numbers. So I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to do that. I'm definitely going to just roll it and see what I get 1 through 12, just straight through and not do any duplicates for the moment. But if I have time, I might go back. And that, again, like I said, is going to be for the whole month. And then I also have the Fall Into Reading Challenge, which is a 3-month-long reading challenge. There are 2 different types of bingo boards you can use. You can use one with either 15 prompts or one with 24 prompts. I'm going for the 24 prompt one because 24 divided by 3 is 8. That's 8 books a month. I can definitely do that. And I'm only going to use 1 book per prompt. I know you can use 1 book for multiple prompts, but I want to see how far I can get on the bingo board. At this point, I don't have a TBR set for that, and I don't have a TBR set for Horcruxathon. That's what I'm going to do this evening. But for right now, here in a little bit, once I'm done with some meetings, I am going to roll the dice and see what number that lands on, because I think I'm going to use the TBR I had set up. I might swap some things out here and there. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm going to see first what book or what prompt I'm going to get for the roll the dice to see what book I'm going to read, and then see if that book fits in any of the other readathons or challenges that I'm doing. So like I said, I'll do that here in a little bit. I've got meetings to go into now, so it's not like I'm going to be reading a book anyway, but I will need an audiobook for my drive to my violin lesson today. So we'll see what I get. I might just pick up an audiobook and not like roll the dice and see if I can get an audiobook to fit. So I might just have 1 book going at a time for the roll the dice. I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to work this. It's different from what I normally do, but that's the plan for right now. So once I'm ready to roll the dice, I'll come back and show you what we get. I am finally at a point in my day where I can roll the dice to see what the first prompt is going to be. So I'm going to change angles really quickly, roll the dice, and then come back here and let you know what the prompt is and what I have picked. Alright, I've got my 20-sided magic dice right here. I'm hoping when I roll this that it doesn't go out of frame, but I'm a pretty wild roller. And obviously, because this goes up to 20 and there's only 18 prompts for the roll the dice readathon, anything 13 and over, we're just gonna automatically re-roll right now. So let's see what the first book is gonna be. Oh my gosh, what hand do I want to roll with? We'll go right. 13. Can't use that one. Let's try this again. Went off a little, but it landed on 4. So first number we landed on, super far away, was a 4, which the prompt for this is to read a book published in 2020. And I think one of the only new release books I have is Just Breathe by Cami McGovern. This was gifted to me by my friend Eric at the channel Break Even Books, and it deals with teenagers with cystic fibrosis. The first book that Eric and I everybody read together was 5 Feet Apart by Rachel Lippincott, and he read this a couple months ago. I think he might have had an arc of it or something, and had mentioned it in a wrap-up, and I thought it would be really interesting to read this one next and kind of see the similarities and differences between the characters in each book and their experiences with cystic fibrosis and how they kind of have to deal with it and whatnot. So this will be the first book I'm going to read. I am going to read it physically. I was gonna roll a second time to see if I could get a prompt that would work for an audiobook, but that didn't work out very well for me last time I did this. So I think I'm just going to pick a book up. Maybe the rolls are all gonna be mostly, well, I don't know. I'm just not gonna do multiple rolls at a time for the moment and see how that works for me. Usually I like to have a physical book and an audiobook going at the same time, and I still will, but I'm not gonna worry about making sure I've got a prompt right now that the audiobook I pick is gonna fit into. So I think I might look at the Horcruxathon prompts and the Fall Into Reading prompts and see if I can find an audiobook of hopefully a book I already own that will work for that. So whenever I pick that up, I'll let you know, but I am definitely going to start Just Breathe tonight, and we'll see what else happens. Ronan, are you sure you want to go for a walk? You want to go for a walk too? Come on, doggies. Is that where we wait? What you looking at over there? Is your leash over there? Is that how we go for walks? Are you on home base? Ronan, I can't tell if you're actually excited to go for a walk or not. Are you excited? You want to go for a walk, Fiefs? Are you sure, Ronan? Last chance to say no. We don't have to go for a walk. Okay, we'll go. Alright, so it's been a couple days and I have some reading updates, but first I want to start out with showing you a book that I purchased. So during the Disney Trivia live stream that I did with my friend Eric and a couple other booktubers, we had a prize that whoever won got a $10 gift card from Eric, and I was the winner. So I bought the Book Jumper by a name I'm not going to try and pronounce. I know the author is German. I'm pretty sure this was translated from German into English. And this is a book that has been on my radar for a couple years, but I've heard some mixed reviews about it. But I'm just really intrigued by this, and it seems like the perfect like fall or winter cozy read. But basically the main character, I'll just read a little bit. Amy Leno doesn't quite know quite what to expect when she and her mother pick up and leave Germany for Scotland, heading to her mother's childhood home of Leno House on the island of Stormsey. Amy's grandmother, Lady Myriad, insists that Amy must read while she resides at Leno House, but not in the usual way. It turns out that Amy is a book jumper, able to leap into a story and interact with the world inside. As thrilling as Amy's new power is, it also brings danger. Someone is stealing from the book she visits, and that person may be after her life. Teaming up with fellow book jumper Will, Amy vows to get to the bottom of the thefts, and at whatever cost. So it sounds so good. Like, a book that a book lover would love. But I've also heard that like it didn't live up to people's expectations, or it was like tropey or something like that. So I don't really know how it's gonna go, but I'm interested to find out here, sorry, in the next couple of months. So that's the one book I got. I also got my August, yeah, it would have been August Geek Gear box. I was debating whether or not I was gonna like share with you the items that I received or not, and I decided against it. Just another box that I was really disappointed in. So I'm definitely going to cancel my Geek Gear subscription so that it doesn't renew next time, though I've got probably like 4 months left to go. I don't really know. Sorry, I keep yawning, but there's that. So as far as books, let me get to all of my reading spreads so I can tell you what's going on. There we go. Okay, so I just finished today Blood of Victory by Alan First, which this is part of the Night Patriots or something like that, I think is the series name. I want to say this is book 7 or 9. But it doesn't seem like you actually have to read the books in order. I think it all revolves around a similar topic or theme, but the actual like characters and storylines that these follow don't connect or don't build off of each other or anything like that. So this is a World War II historical fiction that starts in the fall, November of 1940. Where a Russian writer arrives in Istanbul by a Black Sea freighter. So he travels on behalf of an organization based in Paris, and he's in flight from a dying and corrupt Europe, specifically Nazi-occupied France. So he's Russian, but I believe he calls Paris home. So basically he is enlisted in this scheme to cut off Germany's oil supply through the Balkans. So he spends a lot of time in Belgrade and Bucharest, a lot of time in Romania, and essentially has to execute this plan to cut off oil for Germany. It's a very short book. It was only like a 9-hour audiobook, or 9.5. It wasn't exactly what I was expecting it to be. It was, I feel like, a lot less plot driven and more character driven. But these just aren't the types of books I like. I don't like the kind of like spy, underworldy, but then like I really enjoy the Alice Network and stuff like that. I don't know, these books and like Robert Ludlum books, like they're just not the kind for me. Like the spy-y, I don't really know how to describe it. I just don't really enjoy them. So this only got a 2-star rating from me. I think it's fine if you kind of like that, or if you want to kind of hear a different part about the war. I think of a lot of things happening in like Germany and France and forget a lot about like the things that happen on the Russia side of World War II and what happens in other parts of Europe, especially Eastern Europe, like places other than Poland and things like that. So it was really interesting to see like how the war had impacted Romania and things like that during the time. But like I said, I really just don't think that these are the types of books for me. But it was nice to get this read. So that worked for Horcruxathon, which was to read a book that features a large body of water. So at the beginning, he is sailing to Istanbul, but also A large part of it takes place on a river in Romania. It also works for the Fall into Reading Challenge for a book that takes place in the fall. It starts in the fall. I feel like a lot more of it takes place in the winter, but I think it works. And then I am also halfway through now, Just Breathe. And I've got some thoughts on this. First being that I'm really glad I read 5 Feet Apart before this, because I feel like 5 Feet Apart explained what cystic fibrosis is a lot more than this book does. I feel like this book follows the relationship between Jamie and David more so than actually with talking about what cystic fibrosis is doing inside David's body and things like that. But I do really enjoy the relationship in this that's forming. It's a friendship. You've got David, who is a 17-year-old high school senior. He is student body class president and involved in other clubs and things like that. He has a girlfriend. They've been dating for quite some time, who also is like really interested and involved in clubs and activities and things like that. David has been struggling with cystic fibrosis obviously his whole life. It's just gotten worse, I guess, in the past couple of years. But his friends don't really know what he has. They just kind of explain it as asthma but worse. So he really doesn't have a lot of people to open up to about this, because Sharon understands it, but he also doesn't want to burden her because she's worrying about her activities and applying for colleges and other things like that, like her AP classes she's in and this, that, and the other. And his family, he's got mom and dad and a younger sister who's 2 years younger. And the mom and dad don't like to talk about things like at all. They really just sweep things under the rug and don't have open and honest conversations. And his sister, Eileen, is kind of not hanging out with the right sort of crowd. She seems like a very intelligent young lady, but she also likes to push the boundaries and things like that. I don't think she has any poor feelings towards her brother for getting the attention because he's sick, but I do think she does things in order to get her parents' attention. But they just kind of coddle her and think like she can't do any wrong and it's okay what she's doing, even though it's not. Like, they don't have those tough conversations with her. And then we've got Jamie, who is 2 years younger than David, and she works at the hospital where David is as a Smile a Whiler. So basically she just goes around to the different rooms and brings in books and movies and games and things for people who have to stay to be able to do. And from there she meets David and they start to form a really strong friendship because they both, like, their world with each other is inside the hospital. It's not external in any way like that. So David feels like he's got someone finally that he can open up to and talk to. And Jamie is going through depression. She lost her father. I won't say how because I think that's a reveal that you get kind of halfway through. But Jamie is really, really struggling with depression, and part of the reason that she is working at the hospital is so that she can keep her mind busy and not be alone at the house. Her mom also works at the hospital, but not be alone at the house. She lost a couple of friends last year or the year before due to an outburst and things like that. So David is really kind of, I guess, in a way, like her rock right now, just someone to help her get through her tough times while she helps him get through his tough times. So I'm really enjoying this story. I'm scared that some things are gonna happen. I'm not 100% sure, but I am really intrigued to see just not where like a romantic relationship goes between Jamie and David, if that happens, but just their friendship relationship, just how that grows. It feels very like natural and like how a friendship or a relationship would evolve in the real world and like outside of a contemporary book setting. So really looking forward to seeing where this is going. I'm debating whether or not to roll again for the Roll the Dice Readathon. Like, I think I could, if I really sat down and if we don't watch a movie or like X-Files or anything tonight, I could power through the rest of this tonight. So maybe I'll just wait until tomorrow to roll the dice for my next prompt. But I did start another audiobook because I listened to Blood of Victory on Scribd. So I started an audiobook on Audible called The Beekeeper's Promise that I didn't manage to fit into my TBR for the next 3 months essentially. It's a book that I wanted to read in September, October timeframe, but I kind of forgot about it because it's an audiobook. But it is called The Beekeeper's Promise by Fiona Valpy, and it takes place in France. We kind of shift back and forth between timelines. One of the timelines is 2017, and I think the other is, I think it's pre-World War II or during World War II. I know the war hasn't started yet, but it is going well so far. I'm not very far in, so I can't really explain anything. All I know is at some point our character we're following in the present does come into contact, I believe, with the lady who owned or managed, whatever, the beehives at this estate called Bellevue. So we'll see how that goes. I really enjoyed The Secret Life of Bees when I read it in June, and I love bees. Hi, pretty girl. Do you want a bath? You don't want a bath? Well, I'm sorry, but you have to have one because you stink. Oh, you look so sad. You'll be fine, I promise. It'll take like 2 minutes. Ready for your bath? I don't really appreciate that side eye. So last night I went for a walk with my mom with the dogs and then spent the whole rest of the evening reading, and I finished up the last half plus of Just Breathe, and I'm giving it a 4-star rating overall. I really liked the beginning of this book. The middle was making me start to like tear up, and I was like, I'm for sure gonna cry by the end of this, but I didn't. The last half was different from what I expected. I don't want to go into too much detail just because I don't want to spoil anything, but what I would really like to know, and probably reading a contemporary YA book isn't the best place to find this, I'll probably have to do my own independent research, but after people with cystic fibrosis get lung transplants, expected like added time, I guess they get with their life is 5 to 10 years. It could be a little longer, it could be shorter. And I just want to know more about why. So from my understanding, cystic fibrosis does impact more of your internal organs than just your lungs, but it does mostly, I feel like, impact the lungs because it causes extra mucus to build up, which makes it hard to breathe. So after you get fresh lungs, basically a lung transplant, it does stay within the other organs of your body, but I want to know like how that makes it so that people only get an extra 5 to 10 years and other things like that. So I really want to find that out, which is good that this book makes me want to learn more. I really like that. But it's a cute little contemporary. It's got some pretty deep and tough topics. There is a character who battles with depression and has attempted suicide. There's also talk of a parent who succeeded in attempting suicide. And then you obviously have a character who is struggling with their cystic fibrosis and also battling a bit of depression themselves. So some tough topics, but I think overall it's a really good and important read if you like books like that. I started reading The Beekeeper's Promise yesterday. I'm pretty sure I already told you that. And I need to roll the dice again to figure out what prompt I'm reading next for the readathon. And honestly, if I get the number 8, which is Chance of a Lifetime, I'm going to put in The Beekeeper's Promise for that, even though I didn't already plan to have it going, or even though I didn't plan to have it in my TBR and I've already started it. It's because I would really like to keep bees, and also there's characters who run a wedding venue, and that's something I would absolutely love to do and hope that I can do in the future. So I'm gonna switch angles, and then we're gonna roll and see what I get. Actually, I might see if Skylar wants to roll this one for me. I think that'd be fun. So let me go harass him for a second, and then anyway, when we get back, you'll be face down seeing what we're rolling, or I'm rolling. All right, let's see what you get. Number 2.
Number.
I have to do the makeup thing.
Number 2.
I don't remember what that is, so let's go look. Alright, so Skylar rolled a number 2 for me, and the prompt for that is to read a book by a female author. And for this, I had planned to read Becoming Mrs. Lewis by something Callahan, which is an audiobook. So I think we're gonna roll one more time to see if we can get a physical book, because I typically like to have an audiobook and a physical book going at the same time, and right now that's 2 audiobooks because The Beekeeper's Promise is also an audiobook. Do you want to roll for me again?
On the counter?
Yeah. Sure. Okay. We'll go for roll number 3 now. Roll number 3. Ooh, you got the one I wanted. It's number 8, but that doesn't give me a physical book. That's Chance of a Lifetime. Go ahead and roll one more time. You gotta re-roll. You're really loud.
6.
Is it 6 or is that 9? That's 6. I don't remember what 6 is. We'll have to go look.
Well, it comes after 5 and before 7.
Thank you.
It's 6.
No, it is 6. Okay, so I just had Skylar roll 2 times again. So he's rolled 3 times for me now. He got female author the first time, like I told you, number 2. The second roll he did was 8, which is Chance of a Lifetime, and that's what I was just telling you I was going to swap in The Beekeeper's Promise, and since I'm already reading that, that's perfect. So then I had him roll a 3rd time to hopefully get a physical book this time, and he got Shop Your Shelf. And for that, I am going to read The Battle of the Labyrinth by Rick Riordan, which is the 4th book in the Percy Jackson series. So hopefully that'll be a quick read because it is middle grade, but honestly that doesn't mean a lot to me. I'm usually a 30-page a night reader, unless I just force myself to read and not watch TV like I did last night, and then I can read over 200 pages. So that's what I've got planned. I've got 2 audiobooks going now and then a physical book. So I'm gonna go pick that book out of the cart and then pick a bookmark for it. It is Sunday, almost evening-ish. It's just about 4 o'clock here. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap this vlog up here because we are either going to finish watching The Wolverine tonight, start a different movie, or watch X-Files, and just spend some time together today. Yesterday I started reading Becoming Mrs. Lewis, and I read a little bit more of The Beekeeper's Promise. I didn't pick up The Battle of the Labyrinth at all. And I also went to my best friend's house. Her husband's away hunting right now, so we had a girls' night and watched Easy A and snacked, drank tea, Finished watching half an episode of Gilmore Girls, and then today Skylar and I had to run some errands. We went to Home Depot and bought deck paint so that we could repaint our deck, because when we pressure washed it, pretty much all of the paint flaked off, and so we needed to make sure it was good and sealed for this winter. I also got a tiny-ish snake plant. It was a 4-inch pot, so it was probably like 6 inches tall. I'll show you at the start of next week for sure. I've been wanting a snake plant since I went to Portland in March to meet Darshell and Kayla. Tasia, who's the owner of Sweet Quiet Design, was telling both Darshell and Kayla, who aren't very plant savvy people, I guess, that snake plants are really easy to care for. So I was like, I want a snake plant too. So I finally got one. It was clearanced out for $7.88, so I figured I couldn't pass up on that, and those things get pretty darn tall. So we went to the grocery store. It has like apparel and gardening and outdoorsy stuff and bedding and all that other stuff. And I bought a 6-inch pot to match the rest of the white pots I have. They're just plastic pots, pretty cheap, but they look nice. So I repotted that. Right now I soaked it like entirely. So it's sitting out on our deck, and I'll bring it in this evening and find a place for it. I don't really know where. I didn't need another houseplant, but I really wanted one, so I got one. But anyway, when Sky and I got back home, we put the first layer of deck paint on the deck. I have these dwarf burning bushes at the front of the deck and a dwarf weeping willow that had to be chopped a little bit so that we could easily get the railings on the deck, and that way while it's drying they don't get stuck to it. So I had to give some plants a haircut, and then we just spent the afternoon staining and just finished up not long ago. So now I'm editing the vlog so that we can relax the rest of the evening. Tomorrow is Labor Day. We both have the day off together, which will be nice. I plan to do some school stuff. And then our neighbors are having a potluck in their front yard for like the neighborhood. So we're going to go over and just hang out with everybody, which will be really nice. But yeah, I had a good week overall. I finished, how many did I finish? We've got 1, 2, 3 books that I finished. I've got 3 rolling over for next week. The Beekeeper's Promise, Becoming Mrs. Lewis, and The Battle of the Labyrinth. So it's going to be a heavy reading week next week, especially towards the beginning, but I'm really looking forward to checking some more books off of the readathons and challenges I'm doing this week. So as always, I would just love to know what you read this week. Please let me know if you like this new-ish style vlog I'm trying. I know it's really not very different from the last week's vlog. Like I said, it's going to be a bit of a transition to get these vlogs to where I really want them to be. But let me know if that plan sounds good, if you want me to just keep them as they are and not worry about the time, what have you. All of that stuff. But yeah, and I'd also love to know if you're participating in any of the readathons or reading challenges I mentioned, and just how your reading went this week. So if you feel so inclined, please do let me know down in the comments below, and I will chat with you there until my next video. Bye!